In the heart of Ireland, in County Offaly, there stands a castle that historians and paranormal investigators alike have called the most haunted building in the country. Its name is Leap Castle. And its history is written in blood. The castle began under the O'Bannon clan sometime in the 13th century, but it was the O'Carrolls, a warlike Gaelic dynasty, who truly claimed it, and who gave it its darkest legacy. In 1532, the old chieftain Mulroney O'Carroll died without naming an heir. Two of his sons went to war over the castle. One of them, Thaddeus, was a priest, and by right of birth, the rightful successor. But his younger brother, known as One-Eyed Tige, wanted the title for himself. So one morning, while Thaddeus stood at the altar of the castle's private chapel, saying mass in front of his own family, Tige walked in, and drove a blade into his brother's back. Thaddeus collapsed onto the altar and died where he stood, in front of the people who had come to pray with him. That room has been known ever since as the Bloody Chapel. And witnesses across the centuries have claimed that on quiet nights, you can still hear footsteps on the chapel stairs, see the flicker of unexplained light in windows that should be dark, in a wing of the castle that has stood empty for decades. But the priest's murder was only the beginning. Hidden in a corner of the Bloody Chapel was a small chamber accessible only through a trapdoor in the ceiling, a type of dungeon the French called an oubliette, meaning, quite literally, the place to forget. Prisoners, and, some say, unsuspecting guests of the O'Carrolls, were dropped through that trapdoor into total darkness. At the bottom waited sharpened wooden spikes. Anyone who survived the fall was simply left there. Forgotten. To starve, alone, in the dark, within earshot of the feasting going on just above their heads. The oubliette stayed sealed for centuries, until workmen renovating the castle in the early 1900s finally broke through the hidden wall. What they found inside took 3 full cartloads to remove, the skeletal remains of what may have been well over 100 people, many of them still impaled on the ancient spikes. It's said that among the bones, workers also found a small gold pocket watch, dating to the mid-1800s. Which meant the oubliette hadn't only been used in the castle's brutal medieval past. Someone had still been feeding it victims centuries later. And it's what happened after that discovery that turns this from a story about the dead, into a story about something else entirely. Mildred Darby, mistress of the castle in the early 1900s, was known to dabble in the occult, seances, automatic writing, the fashionable spiritualism of her era. Not long after the oubliette's grisly contents were cleared out, Mildred had an experience she would later write about herself, in a 1909 article for the Occult Review. She described standing in the castle's gallery when she suddenly felt a hand land on her shoulder. She turned, and found herself face to face with something she struggled even to put into words. A gray, shadowy figure roughly the size of a sheep, its arms raised as if mid-curse. Its face, she wrote, was human in shape but nothing like human at all, sunken black hollows where the eyes should be, loose, wet lips, and no nose at all, only spreading, decayed cavities where a nose should have been. And with it came a smell, sulfur, and rot, thick enough to make her sick to her stomach. Mildred's occultist friends had a name for what she'd encountered. They called it an elemental, a raw, ancient force, not quite ghost and not quite demon, said to be tied not to any one person's death, but to a place itself. A place soaked in centuries of violence, fear, and forgotten screaming. Mildred wasn't the only one who claimed to see it. She recorded another sighting years later, in November of 1915, the thing standing in the gallery once more, its hand resting on the railing, the smell rolling off it exactly as before. The castle burned in 1922, during the Irish Civil War, gutted almost to a shell. It sat in ruins for decades before being slowly restored by later owners. Today, Leap Castle still stands. People still visit the Bloody Chapel. And some of them, not all, but some say that if you stand quietly near where the oubliette once was, you can still catch, faint but unmistakable, the smell of sulfur. And something, just behind you, that isn't quite there.